You probably cannot remember what you had for lunch 2 Tuesdays ago, but you can remember exactly where you were, what you were wearing, and what the air felt like the last time someone said something that broke you. This is not a coincidence. It is not a personality trait. It is a biological system operating exactly as designed. And it has been encoding your emotional experiences at a fundamentally different level than everything else your brain processes. Your brain does not treat all memories equally. Most experiences are encoded lightly, held briefly, and allowed to fade. The vast majority of your life disappears within days or weeks, and your brain does not consider this a failure. Forgetting is the default. But emotional experiences are different. When something happens that carries emotional weight, a different system activates. A small almond-shaped structure deep in your brain called the amygdala fires. And when the amygdala fires, it does not just register the emotion. It sends a direct signal to the hippocampus, your brain's primary memory-forming region, telling it to pay closer attention to what is being encoded right now. The signal runs on a neurochemical called norepinephrine. When something emotionally significant happens, norepinephrine floods the amygdala and hippocampus simultaneously. At the cellular level, norepinephrine strengthens the connections between neurons in the hippocampus. It increases what neuroscientists call synaptic plasticity. The result is a memory trace that is encoded more deeply, consolidated more thoroughly, and made significantly more resistant to forgetting than anything your brain encodes under ordinary conditions. Researchers described it this way. The amygdala is essentially telling the hippocampus, whatever you are encoding right now, encode it well. This is why the memory of being humiliated in front of people you respected can surface 20 years later with a clarity that yesterday's meetings will never have. Your brain made a prioritization decision in real time. It flagged that experience as important, and it encoded it accordingly. The most dramatic demonstration of this mechanism is what researchers call flashbulb memories. These are the unusually vivid, almost photographic recollections of where you were and what you were doing when something emotionally overwhelming happened. The term was coined by psychologists Roger Brown and James Kulik in 1977. They noted that people described these memories as if a mental photograph had been taken. The amygdala's activation during a shocking or emotionally powerful event floods the hippocampus with consolidation-enhancing signals. The result is a memory trace that feels precise and permanent. Research published in PNAS confirmed that the memory-enhancing effect of emotion can last not just for months, but for years and even decades. The advantage emotional memories have over ordinary ones does not degrade the way you might expect over time. It persists. But here is where the research becomes genuinely uncomfortable. Flashbulb memories feel accurate. They feel like photographs. They are not. Research by cognitive psychologist Ulrich Neisser found that despite their vivid subjective quality, flashbulb memories are just as prone to distortion, omission, and reconstruction as ordinary memories. People confidently misremember details. They shift timelines. They incorporate information they encountered later into the original scene and believe it was always there. The memory of the event is not a recording. It is a reconstruction. And every time you retrieve it, you alter it slightly. The emotional weight makes it feel immovable, permanent, exact. But the content has been quietly editing itself for years. This creates a specific and underappreciated problem. The emotional memories that shape who you are, how you see relationships, how you respond to conflict, how you evaluate your own worth, were encoded by a system optimized for survival, not for accuracy. The amygdala does not care whether your memory is faithful to what actually happened. It cares that you remember something dangerous or painful happened. and that you remember it vividly enough to avoid it in the future. The feeling of certainty that comes with an emotional memory is not evidence that the memory is correct. It is evidence that your amygdala considered the experience important enough to encode deeply. Those are not the same thing. There is one more layer worth sitting with. Research also found that when participants were given a drug that blocks norepinephrine receptors before viewing emotional images, their enhanced memory for those images disappeared entirely. The emotional enhancement of memory is not a psychological phenomenon. It is a chemical one, entirely dependent on the presence of a specific neurochemical at the moment of encoding. This means the difference between a memory that haunts you for decades and one that fades by next week is not about the objective significance of the event. It is about whether your amygdala fired strongly enough to flood your hippocampus with norepinephrine at the right moment. You did not choose which memories would define you. Your amygdala did.